Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the incorrect way to clean your Porsche fuel system. At the moment, you can see we are at the back of the vehicle with the fuel level sender removed from the fuel tank. It was not working. It was pretty gummed up, and I have a few pointers to take a look at that might be able to help you out to be able to repair your fuel sender versus replacing it. You'll need a couple of Allens removed, the sender removed. In this case, there is no hoses, so it's just 3 electrical connectors that had to be disconnected to remove. Careful when you pull this out, it will have fuel inside of this tube and may spill everywhere. So let's get a closer look of it. Here we will take a closer look at the fuel level sender on the bench. Well, it's the floor, and see if we can't get a better look on what's going on with this. So this cylindrical tube will fill up with fuel and change the resistance going to the gauge, which tells you how full or how empty your tank is. I've removed a cap off the end with this little nut. It's a little 2-post nut that will unscrew from the bottom. That will reveal these lines. So as the fuel enters in, it'll chase this maze around and fill this tube, which will lift a float to change that resistance in the system. Now, mine was completely full of gunk and crud. You can see it's still pretty well caked on the bottom there. I have taken a pokey device and cleaned out all of these passages, and you might be able to see this here and this here are still plugged full of stuffs. So we'll take and see if we can't poke those through to let the fuel in. This maze on the bottom works as a damper, so if you go around a corner, your fuel gauge just won't skyrocket to full or go all the way down to empty. It takes some time for it to go in and out of these tiny holes here and here to fill this tube. There's also one tube hole there. Yeah, that just poked right through. And then the air will vent out the top here. You can see we have a fuel part number here, 477919051B as in boy. So as this fills up, your resistance changes and changes that fuel gauge. So let's see if we can remove this bottom plate and make sure that this float is moving up and down. Crack. Yep, that shouldn't be there. Like so. Oh, dearie. Some of this stuff just doesn't belong here. And we can see our 2 holes that fill up this tube are supposed to be right here and right here. Yeah, it's looking better. You can see the float quarter way up the tube there. And this was built at a time where these things should be able to come apart, be cleaned, and then put back together. Let's continue cleaning and see if we can get this working. With the right amount of force and the chance of breaking your level sender, this tube will pop out from the top cap. And let's see, oh my gosh. So we can see pretty quickly we have pieces that are supposed to be attached. That wire should go to here. That wire connect to that terminal, which ends up being the W on the top, which also starts with a W, however, starts with an H. This scenario would mean we're more than likely just going to replace this sender, but we can take a look and see what we have going on. That is bound up on that shaft. So as this float goes up and down, it'll change the resistance in between these two wires up and down through these connections right here. That will tell your gauge to go up or go down. It unfortunately has seen its day, and it's just going to take replacement at this point. I still have to put this back in the hole to cap off the fuel tank, since I do not have a fuel level sender with me as of right now. So we're going to try and clean this up and get this floating again freely on this center shaft and put it back in the hole. Hopefully it works, but with this disconnected, it's a good chance it's not going to, even though these two wires on this side and this side are the ones that actually change resistance to the gauge. Let's continue on. Ooh. Hey. Up and down. Up and down. All the way up. Pull. All the way down. All the way down. Ran out of gas. In between. Looks like there's a locating tab in the top there. Fit that little notch in the tube. Something to that extent. Tighten up on the bottom and back in the hole. So here we have it going back in with that broken wire. I don't have high hopes for it working, but if it does, that'd be pretty great. And there we are. Let's see if it works. Let's go ahead and watch the gauge and see what it'll do. Holy Moses, it works. It was dead at the bottom beforehand, and now I have fuel signs. All right. Well, Thanks for watching this successful tutorial on incorrect way of how to fix your Porsche fuel system. Enjoy the dinger.